Welcome onto this video. We're talking all things maximum aerobic function today, or the MAF method. We're going to be finding out exactly what it is and how it can benefit your running. My name is Brad. I'm from CoachParry.com, where we help you become fitter, faster, and stronger. And we're joined today by our head coach, Lindsey Parry. If you enjoy our videos, or if you've got any questions about the MAF method and you'd like to know more, please do pop them into the comments below. Also, while you're at it, if you wouldn't mind just smashing the like button, it really does help us get in front of more runners just like you. And so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, make sure you do hit the subscribe button as well. Welcome onto this video, Coach. Today we're talking about MAF, and we've added a few programs onto the Coach Parry training app over the last few weeks. We're getting tons of questions about them and who they're for and what they do. Let's talk about MAF as a principle and a concept first before we dig into who's it for and what they actually do. Tell us a little bit about MAF and what it stands for and what it does.
Yes, I mean, the MAF really is what is known as the maximal aerobic function. And it's a method that was developed by Dr. Phil Maffetone. It's not new. It's been used for a long time, and I guess it was made most famous by two triathletes in Mike Pigg and Mark Allen. Mark Allen, of course, went on to win Ironman 6 times, finished second 6 times, and at that point in time was considered the greatest triathlete across all distances. And Mike Pigg was then he basically dethroned Mark Allen as the greatest Olympic distance triathlete at that point in time. So it's not new. It's been around for a long time. It's also not based on new theory, even at the time that it was developed. And the idea behind it was that Dr. Maffetone wanted to create a system that ensured that people were well below their aerobic threshold, let's call that, or the point at which they need to start relying more heavily on carbohydrates as a source of energy. And so he really came up with a number that is quite arbitrary. So one of the comments we've gotten is we've looked at this and it just doesn't really seem to be based on anything scientific or any research. And that part and that comment is correct. Literally what Dr. Maffetone said is right. If I take 180 and I take off people's age, looking at a broad spectrum of the population, I am going to pretty much ensure that everybody is going to be well below that anaerobic zone. And what we've seen in much more modern research, that because it has been scientifically researched, not that specific number, but what we have seen that's been researched on numerous occasions now, and there's one particularly good study that came out of France that was popularized in Matt Fitzgerald's book 80-20, where they looked at a whole lot of Olympians over a wide spectrum of endurance activities. They looked at rowing, they looked at triathlon, they looked at swimming, they looked at running, they looked at cross-country skiing, cycling, so this wide range, and they looked at the medalists over the past 3 decades. I mean, that is a really long period of time. When they analyzed all of their workouts, what they saw that almost all of them had in common was that between 20 and 23% of their work was done at varying ranges that was above that anaerobic threshold, and that 80% of their work was being done well below, at 80% under threshold. Now that is miles under. And so that is really what Dr. Maffetone was aiming for. And it's the reason why I like to use it. The thinking behind bringing it along or putting those onto the platform was twofold. Number one, we have decided to really provide programming and expertise for the aging athlete. And so this really just fell right within that zone, because what we have found over the past 10, 15 years of working with older runners is that we get a lot of those older runners that have been trying to do the same old and breaking down with injury. So when we get them, they essentially are broken, and we are working to fix them, and we've had really great success. But this MAF method actually allows us to fix them quicker, because it forces people to really go back to their roots, really lay that proper foundation with a very low risk of re-injury. And I think that is the key point here. Very low risk of re-injury. And we build up that aerobic, fat-burning, oxygen energy system much quicker than we otherwise would. And so that was the thinking behind it. But then, of course, running is a sport where people do get injured a lot. Plus, the other side of our business that is really huge is the ultra marathon market. And of course, post ultra marathons, we struggle to get people to rest enough and to recover fully. And what I see a lot is that we get a lot of people through their first comrade successfully, and they love us for it. And then they leave and they do their own thing, and they start too soon after comrades. And that second year of running is just not a pleasant experience, because they start to pick up all these injuries from the damage that comrades has unfortunately done. And so the MAF comes in there again, because after marathons, after ultra marathons, when we need a little bit of actual rest time. But if people do come back a little bit early, we're forcing them to train really, really easy by being on this MAF, and that then allows them to transition much better into their second, or not second, going into whatever race they've got targeted next. So that's really the theory and the loose science behind the MAF plans that we've put up there.
So, Lindsey, you've mentioned folks coming back from injuries or picking up too quickly after an ultra. Who are these plans for? Who should be on a MAF plan? And are there specific times in your training when you should be following one of these sorts of plans?
Yeah, so anybody who's repeatedly getting sick, anybody who has niggling injuries that won't clear up, or who is coming back from a serious injury, anybody that's done like a major effort in an event that is a marathon or longer should be getting on this sort of plan. And then anybody who's restarting running after a long layoff, or who's never run before, this is a great place to start. And we've got the beginner MAF plan, and because this MAF method works so quickly, the beginner MAF plan, it actually only runs for a shorter period than the intermediate and the advanced. But the beauty of even the intermediate and advanced is, although we may have to limit the volume a little bit on some athletes that are returning, because you're forced to run so easy, that volume isn't as much for risk as it normally is when we just build up too fast and we are running too fast all the time.
Let me bring that question up, because it has popped up quite often that a lot of people struggle to run as easy as you need to run on a MAF plan. People always talk about you need to eat your own dog food. I know that you're following one of these plans as well at the moment, and I mean, it is hard, but it just shows you that most of us are running our easy runs way too hard. What advice could you give to someone who's really struggling to keep their heart rate within the sort of limits that you should be on this MAF program?
You need to walk. And so that's really where the program is kind of ingenious to be, or genius, not ingenious. It's completely genius. And that is, even today, I wasn't having a great run today. To be honest, I've progressed really nicely on the MAF plan. And then today was just a horrible day. I think I walked 8 times on my 11K run, and quite honestly, if I hadn't chosen the route that I'd chosen, I wouldn't have even finished the run. And there's its own lesson in that. But when you are walking, we are still stimulating that aerobic system. So people are scared to walk because they're like, oh no, if I'm not running, I'm not working hard enough. But if you stick to the plan, and if you're struggling to keep the heart rate down, if you throw in a walk break each time that heart rate does go over what it's supposed to, and you walk and get it back down and then run, what you will notice over time is that you quickly start to get to a point where you can run and stay in zone. I mean, I've been going now for 5 weeks as we record this video, and this is the first time in 10 days that I've had to take a walk. But when I started 5 weeks ago, I was literally having to walk on every hill, and I was slowing down, but not slowing down enough. So my first correction in the about halfway through the second week is that I finally actually was running easy enough on the hills, and then I didn't have to walk on the hills. And then when I got into the fourth week, I was running the hills faster because this, everything starts to take its effect. And it's funny that today's run was so horrible, because last night's was the complete opposite. I just thought to myself, I can actually run up hills. And it's perhaps just because of exactly that I ran last night and then I ran again this morning. So there just wasn't enough recovery time between the two. And the effect was that I was forced to slow way down and do lots of walks today.
Yep, absolutely. If you want to find out more about those MAF plans, make sure you head over to coachparry.com. The link is on the screen right now where you can get access to them, and everybody who is on the training platform does have access to them as well. So if you have any more questions, pop them into the forum. Coach, as always, it's great to catch up. Thanks for your time today.
Cool. Cheers, Brad.
Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget, if you don't want to miss any of our upcoming videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button over here. You can also download a free strength training plan that'll help you improve your running. You can pick that up right over here. Be sure to watch our most popular video over here. And while you're at it, check out our latest video over here.